Hello. Okay, we're live. How are you? Good morning. Buenos dias. Good to see everybody. My name is Eva Santiago, and this is Sophia Herrera.
Hola, I'm Sophia Herrera, and I am a junior at Lincoln College Preparatory Academy.
So I'm going to be sharing my screen and then unsharing it, going back and forth, because this venue doesn't allow me to move around too much. So we'll just go ahead and get started. And if you could just throw in the chat real quick where you're from, just a little greeting or what district you're from, what state you're from, so we can kind of all see who all is in the room. So thank you for coming today and sharing your morning with us. Today we're going to talk about dress coded, dual perspectives by Generation Z and Generation X, how sexism fueled by white supremacy culture continues to fail women by controlling our bodies, instilling shame, and minimizing their value to their surface level. It will be presented by Sophia Herrera and myself. And before we get started, I would just like to tell you a little bit about myself. And then Sophia will tell you a little bit about herself. My name is Eva Santiago. I work for Kansas City Public Schools. I do a program called Plaza Comunitaria, also known as Community Plaza. And it is a collaboration between Kansas City Public Schools and the Mexican Consulate in Kansas City. My programming is mostly non-academic. It's supplemental to academics, and it's trauma-informed health and wellness programming. Kansas City Public Schools is en route to become a trauma-informed district. And what I do is I am mainly in the schools in the northeast of Kansas City, which is along the corridor of Independence Avenue, St. John, Truman. And it's in the schools where we have a high population of Spanish speakers. My trauma-informed programming includes things such as a workshop that I have called Holding Your Space, Staying Safe in Relationships, helping young adults create healthy boundaries in relationships. It's a self-defense conversations about relationships. That's a 3-hour program. I also teach yoga in schools as a trauma-informed intervention. I do healthy eating workshops. I do scholarship workshops. I do a program called Chess and Tacos. So all these things it's programming that addresses the needs of our Latinx school community. And so, but it is district wide. It's just a lot of times our programming is in Spanish. I am a former Kansas City, Missouri police officer. I was a police officer for about 7 years. I did a lot of community work as a police officer. Then I left. And I became a yoga instructor. And while I was teaching yoga, I also I did a little bit of yoga and some corporate work at H&R Block headquarters in Kansas City. And then I tried to make a full circle, and I wanted to come back to community work is when I started working for Kansas City Public Schools, and where I was very fortunate and lucky enough to be able to create this position for myself. With the collaboration of the Mexican Consulate and Kansas City Public Schools. And so it's really good to have you in this space, and we are excited to present. And now I want to present to you my colleague and my co-facilitator, Sophia Herrera.
So, hola, I'm Sophia Herrera, and I'm currently a junior at Lincoln College Preparatory Academy. And a little bit about myself is right now I'm currently a full international baccalaureate student. So I want to see, does anyone know what a full IB student is or what the IB program might be?
Anybody know? What is an IB student, Sophia?
So the full IB diploma program is a comprehensive 2-year program that juniors and seniors take for their last 2 years in high school. And the program's rigorous curriculum is designed to challenge students academically, emotionally, and physically as well. And right now, I'm obviously in the class of 2023. I'm currently vice president of the student council, president of the Spanish Honor Society, and right now I'm a nationally ranked student Congress debater. So as you see, I really like academics, but what I really do have a passion for is law and gender equality, which brings us here today.
Thanks, Sophia. And so before we go in, we're going to watch a video. And so as this is, I do trauma-informed programming, and we are going to talk about some heavy stuff today. And so I would like to give you what we call in trauma-informed circles a compassionate caution to take care of yourself and have grace on yourself in the content that we are going to talk about. It can be triggering at times, feel free to mute it, feel free to take a break, because with trauma-informed programming, the first rule of trauma-informed programming is do no harm. And so the reason why these conversations are so impactful and can really have a ripple effect of change is because sometimes it hits close to home and we talk about it, but you don't have to talk about it, right? You can engage or not engage, and we invite you to use the chat as well. So we are going to watch about a 3-minute video. And as you watch the video, I want you to think about mixed messaging. I want you to think about miscommunications, shame, and just doubt. And you'll see what I'm talking about. You see the video. It has disturbing images. There is a bit of nudity. It is a very impactful video. So again, take caution, have a little grace on yourself. And so if we can cue the video now.
They said, your skirt is too short. Your shirt is too low. Don't show so much skin. Cover up. Leave something to the imagination. Don't be a tempter. Men can't control themselves. Men have needs. Look sexy. Look hot. Don't be so provocative. You're asking for it. You're black. Wear heels. You're too dressed up. You're too dressed down. You look like you've let yourself go. Be a lady, they said. Don't be too fat. Don't be too thin. Eat up. Stop eating. Order a salad. Don't eat carbs. Skip dessert. Go on a diet. God, you look like a skeleton. Why don't you just eat? You look emaciated. You look sick. Men like women with the meat on their bones. Be a size 0. Be a double 0. Be nothing. Be less than nothing. Be a lady, they said. Remove your body hair. Bleach this, bleach that. Eradicate your scars. Cover your stretch marks. Plump your lips. Botox your wrinkles. Lift your face. Tuck your tummy. Pick up your boobs. Look natural. You're trying too hard. You look overdone. Men don't like girls who try too hard. Be a lady, they said. Wear makeup. Highlight your cheekbones. Line your lids. Fill in your brows. Lengthen your lashes. Color your lips. Powder. Blush. Bronze. Highlight. Your hair is too short. Dye your hair, not blue. That looks unnatural. Look young. Old is ugly. Men don't like ugly. Be a lady, they said. Save yourself. Be pure. Don't be a whore. Don't sleep around. Men don't like sluts. Don't be a prude. Don't be so uptight. But smile more. Pleasure men. Be experienced. Be sexual. Be innocent. Be dirty. Be the cool girl. Don't be like the other girls. Be a lady, they said. Don't talk too loud. Don't talk too much. Don't be intimidating. Why are you so miserable? Don't be a bitch. Don't be so bossy. Don't be so emotional. Don't cry. Don't yell. Don't swear. Endure the pain. Don't complain. Fold his clothes. Cook his dinner. Keep him happy. That's a woman's job. You'll make a good wife someday. Take his last name. You hyphenated your name. Crazy feminist. Give him children. You don't want children? You will someday. He'll change your mind. Be a lady, they said. Don't get raped. Don't drink too much. Don't walk alone. Don't go out too late. Don't dress like that. Don't get drunk. Don't smile at strangers. Don't go out at night. Don't trust anyone. Don't say yes. Don't say no. Just be a lady, they said.
Okay, and we're back. And in this platform, I am unable to see you. And I feel like you are unable to, I can't hear you as well. So I ask you to use the chat so we can discuss and go back and forth. And so there's a lot of mixed messages in that video. There's a lot of confusion and doubt and just the different messages being sent to women, young women, throughout our lifetimes. And that video can also be triggering. And I also know that I have shared this video with different people of different ages of both genders. But I'm always really so shocked when I show that video to young women and their responses. I can relate to all of that. So I think that when I was a teenager, I don't know if I could have related to all of it because I didn't have so many messages being thrown at me. And so I think that just the power of social media and all like this abundance of information that we have access to makes it different for young people. So to start the discussion, I feel after I saw this video was when I really truly decided that I was not going to dye my hair. I wasn't going to hide my gray. And then this little piece right here, because I had friends, family, co-workers be like, when are you going to dye that hair? Right. And so I decided I said I would just put more white in my hair, but it actually came out blonde. But there was so many mixed messaging that that was very impactful for me. And not to say that for me, not dyeing my hair for me is a big statement because I've wanted to do it. Right. Yes, I wish I would have seen this video so long ago. Hi, Jan. Yes, it was powerful because I could not relate to every single comment personally, but could associate personally with them. And I imagine a great many females and family members who've experienced this. They do. And then Stacy. Yes, why can't we wear spaghetti straps? She wants to know why it's her problem to be distracting to the boys and why it's not their problem to be distracted. And Stacy, and I'm going to get to that point later in the programming. Because we want to go beyond the discussion of, because when we talk about dress codes, it's usually about the dress, right? And the specific clothing, whether it's too much cleavage or too much skin or spaghetti straps or ripped pants. But, we really want to get into the discussion on why and discussion on the microaggressions, right? So little microaggressions that could either be, male to female, but a lot of times it's female to female. And we don't have enough time here in this session, but we want to throw in there how white supremacy culture feeds into this and the institutionalized centering of whiteness. And this is what I would call an anti-sexist programming, right? Just like we all are very familiar with anti-racist programming. And so at this point, we need more than just to say, I'm not racist, right? Because I've heard people say that, I'm not racist, I'm not racist. But we need to do more than that, right? We need to say, I'm not racist, I am anti-racist. And we're going to tie that into being not sexist and anti-sexist. So Sophia's going to read to you just a little excerpt from a book, and it is about anti-racism. And then I'm going to read it to you, just tweaked, just edited a little bit so that we can really come together and understand how important it is to just not be not sexist or not racist. How important it is if we're going to move forward and make sustainable change to be anti-racist and anti-sexist. So Sophia will read that for you.
It is not enough to believe that being not racist will eliminate racism and racial inequities. Instead, we must work within ourselves, our networks, and our institutions to challenge racism with each decision we make. The practice of anti-racism is everyone's ongoing work. So how do we do that? We can identify racist policies, practices, and procedures and replace them with anti-racist policies, practices, and procedures. And we can also understand and own the racist ideas in which we have been socialized and the racist biases that these ideas have created within each of us. Anti-racism is a practice that people and institutions must continue to employ, moment by moment, to fight against the system of racism. Anti-racist policy creates systems that center the lived experiences of Black, Indigenous, and people of color, produce targeted strategies that account for the disparate harm caused these communities, and in the end, improve outcomes for all.
So I think we can all agree, right? We all agree to that statement. And I know there are a lot of anti-racist programming, and there's a lot of anti-racist conversations happening. But what there are not, and if there are, I haven't been a part of them or privy to them, is being anti-sexist. So I want you to hear and kind of focus on what I'm going to read now, which is really the same thing that Sophia just read, with just a few words changed. Okay. It is not enough to believe that being not sexist will eliminate sexism and gender inequities. Instead, we must work within ourselves, our networks, and our institutions to challenge sexism and misogyny with the decisions that we make. The practice of anti-sexism is everyone's ongoing work. And how do we do that? We identify sexist policies, practices, and procedures and replace them with anti-sexism policies, practice, and procedures. Anti-sexist is a practice that people and institutions must continue to employ, moment by moment, to fight against the system of sexism and misogyny. Anti-sexist policy creates systems that center the lived experiences of women, that produce targeted strategies that account for the disparate harm caused, and in the end, improve outcomes for all, right? So being able to see anti-racism as a strong movement, also anti-sexism as a very strong movement. And we're going to go into the very specific dress coding and how it has affected me. I am 48 years old, and Sophia is 15, and really not much has changed, right? A lot has changed in the world, but the act of getting dress coded and the sexism and misogyny in this country has not changed very much. And so we want to, initially we were going to do a little demonstration for you, but our venue changed. And so we're just going to describe this for you. And I want you to think about the moving walkway in an airport, the conveyor belt. You know, you're traveling and you have like a half a mile to walk to the next terminal, and they have the moving walkway. Okay. And so let's say you need to get to terminal A, and let's say you need to get, you're in terminal B. You need to get to terminal B, which is a half a mile away, and you are in terminal A. So you need to get to point A to point B, and in the middle is a conveyor belt and a moving walkway. Okay. So terminal B, a half a mile away, is overt violent racism. It's overt violent sexism. And so racists and sexists, they start walking, and they're being moved, and they're walking towards that. And so just picture it, when you're on that walkway, if you're walking while you're on the conveyor belt, you're moving really fast, right? You're moving faster than everyone else. So you are on your way. The active racist, the active sexist is not only moving in that direction, but walking towards it and making overt and making it happen a little bit faster. Okay. That is the Ku Klux Klan. Those are the Proud Boys. Those are violent white supremacists. And so now think of the person who says, well, yeah, I'm not racist. You know, I'm not racist, but not really doing anything. So they're just standing still. They're not doing anything overtly racist, anything overtly sexist, But what happens if you just stand still and do nothing? You're still going to you're still going to point B. You're still getting to the terminal. You're just going to get there a little bit slower. Okay. And then what if you're an ally, right? So you're saying well, I'm not sexist, and I do support gender equality, and I do support women's rights, and I do support race and equity. So then you're turned around and you're walking back towards A, because A is equity. Terminal A is equity and inclusivity and diversity. So you start walking back. I support Black Lives Matter. I support gender equality. So you start walking back to A, just at a walking pace. But you're still eventually going to get pushed back to B because you're not walking fast enough. It may take you a while to get to B, but eventually, if you're just walking at a regular pace, you're either staying still and having no impact and making no difference, or eventually, but slowly, you will be at point B, which is overt racism, which is overt sexism. Or you can be anti-racist and anti-sexist, which means that you would have to walk faster than the pace, than that walkway is taking you to overt racism. So that means, so imagine you're on that conveyor belt, how much faster or harder you would have to walk towards equity and gender equality to actually be anti-sexist and how to be anti-racist. Just saying that you're not is just not enough, right? And so this is a call to action. And also this programming is a programming where you can learn how, or have ideas, or just kind of engage in the conversation of what it is to be anti-sexist, how to push back against the systemic cultures of misogyny in this country. And so I want you to think about that analogy as we go forward, and I'm going to use it back and forth to see where, and you can think about, right, this is also, and have grace on yourself, because this is also a reflective, introspective opportunity to see, where am I? Where am I in the spectrum of being anti-racist, or am I just being passive? And so me and Sophia are going to tell you how we met, and how if we had not met, we were just talking about this earlier, if we had not met, we would not be here today doing this, because this training and this workshop really rolled out organically. And it was a creation from the both of us, right? It was half her idea, half my idea, but definitely inspired by us meeting Sophia. And we practiced this before, and the pandemic has given me a very warped time frame, because I was like, oh, that was like, there was a year ago, and it was like 3 months ago. And so you'll start, and then we'll just kind of jump in so you can understand how it is that this came to be.
So when I had first met Miss Ava, I was still a sophomore, and it was during April, and I was a student ambassador, and we had freshman orientation because we had started school in person so much later in the year. And so we were in the cafeteria, and we were doing an icebreaker. And one of the icebreakers was, do you like cilantro or onion on tacos? And the point of it was to see what you had in common with other students by raising your hand. And so when she asked that, just me and another classmate raised our hands. And we were no freshmen didn't raise their hands. And so we found a commonality, because we were the only people that like cilantro and onion on our tacos.
And I remember she was all the way in the back, and I was like, okay, I know I need to get to know her. And then I felt like a year had passed since the cilantro incident, right? Then the cilantro question, but really only 2 months had passed. So 2 months passed, and then I ran into Sophia again at a fundraiser at Lincoln Prep, and we started talking, and you told me something about being interested in law, right, or wanting to do an internship. And I was like, I need to connect with the student. So we exchanged numbers. And then a little while after that, Sophia messaged me that she needed some help, and she did some assistance. She was doing an internship with a local company and just was seeking out my assistance. And so I showed up to the office at this internship. And as I walked in, I saw several, because it was high school internships, several students gathered around what you would call for us adults, like the water cooler talk. And the talk was how 3 of them had gotten dress coded, how 3 high school students who were giving up, their summer hours to do an internship, to learn different traits of being a leader, and just maybe a week into it were being told that their clothing was inappropriate. And so that really piqued my interest. And not too long after that, that same day, we were all sitting down at a board table about to start a meeting regarding the interns, where the interns were going to be on a student-led conference regarding social justice. And our conversations were, what will the workshops be for a student-led conference regarding social justice? And then Sophia told me she got dress coded. And you talk about that.
So that day that I got dress coded, I was wearing a dress that I usually wear to church or other kind of internship functions. And it was sleeveless, but apparently my bra strap was peeking out the back a little just because it slipped a bit. That same day, one of my other fellow intern and I were pulled into an office and were told that we were being dress coded because her dress was too short and my bra strap was showing because it was a sleeveless dress. So later on, when Miss Ava came and met with us, she decided to open up the conversation about why we should have a workshop regarding dress codes.
So yeah, we were talking, and I said, I think a good workshop would be dress coded. Sophia attempted to say something about it, and I'm not saying that the adults purposely ignored her, but some of the adults in the room just talked over it. And for the adults, the participants in this workshop, like when we try to do student-led stuff, we think we know everything, and then it becomes a little bit less student-led and more adult-led. And so I was being really intentional for students to have the voice. And then I stopped. I just abruptly stopped that adult. And I said, I feel like Sophia has something to say about this. And I'm not going to lie, there was a little tension in that room when then Sophia said, well, I got dress coded today. And the person who had dress coded her was in the room. And Sophia clapped back at her, because if Sophia hadn't clapped back, I was going to. And she mentioned something about your bra strap was showing. And then Sophia said, well, what if it was a tank top and not my bra? And then there was this really uncomfortable silence. And that was really the beginning of me understanding that really nothing much has changed. Because the person who dress coded, and there was another girl who got dress coded because she was wearing ripped jeans. In defense to Sophia's clapback, this person said, oh, but I believe in gender equality. And what else?
And women's rights.
I believe in women's rights and gender equality. Well, I believe that person is on the conveyor belt, maybe walking slow, but not fast enough towards anti-sexist or anti-sexist policies. And we don't know what we don't know. And I will say these conversations that I have not had. I've had more conversations about this in the past 6 months than I have ever had. And so this is how programming like this happens, because it was very organic, and it was also making and sustaining relationships with students and addressing the needs of the student. If I get dress coded, which I will tell you also a story, my perspective, because these are different perspectives. This, I think, because also I will say, the pandemic has given me this warped sense of time. I can't tell if it's like a month or 6 months ago, but I do believe it was a couple of weeks or a week after the incident in the conference room, because it was really hot. It was one of those really hot, like upper 90s summer days. It was a Friday afternoon. I had to drop off my laptop at the IT department where I work at Kansas City Public Schools, and I was wearing a sundress, and it was shoulderless. And it was, so no straps, it was just shoulders. So it was exposing my shoulders. And I got out of my car with my laptop, walking towards the school. And I said, oh, maybe I should put a jacket on. Maybe I need to put a jacket on, because I envisioned myself walking through the hallways of the Board of Education central offices. And I don't know, running into a man or a coworker. And I was like, shit. So I went back to my car. I put on this little jean jacket. And as I was walking in, I thought, these are the thoughts that I had. I thought, am I a better person because I'm covering my shoulders? Am I a more capable educator because my shoulders are not showing? But I still chose to wear the jacket to not expose my shoulders as I walked through my place of work. And so, and that incident and that event, like I just kept playing it over in my head and thinking, is that how students feel, right? Is that how the young women feel? And just in the chat, if you want to throw in there, you don't have, like, doesn't have to be extensive, but it could be a yes or no. There's two questions. Have you ever been dress coded? Have you ever been told to cover up? And also another question, and this is also a way to be in the direction of being anti-sexist, is have you ever dress coded another woman? Have you been in a position to do that? And if you want to throw that in the chat, that would be great. You could either put a yes or a no. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So then, because I've had different conversations with different women and different students, and I think we all have some kind of experience where we have been. And I'm going to share some images for some discussion. I'm going to share my screen real quick. Okay, so we saw the video, and then this is also, this could have some grace on yourself. It's a compassionate caution. We talked, not that one, we talked about that one. That's the airport moving walkway and being the conveyor belt, right? So at the very end, that's overt racism and sexism. And what we do and how we respond is if we are going in the direction of anti-sexism. And so this is an image. It's on the spectrum of women's bodies being policed. Okay, so at the bottom, maybe less than 100 years ago, it was provocative to show your ankle. And so women always kept their ankles covered. And then as you go up, so prudish, old-fashioned, and then right around the proper, about the knee. When I look at that, I think about I went to Catholic school, and that was right around where Catholic school uniform skirts would be. And then as it, I did it, and I think girls still do it, is they make their skirts a little bit shorter. Then we get up to cheeky, then provocative. And I think what's really impactful about this image is the next one, where it's asking for it, that's instilling like rape culture. Well, what was she wearing? Did she ask for it? And then slut, and then whore. And I wish I could see you so we could discuss, and I wish I could hear you so we could discuss, but that's just a spectrum of how bodies are policed, but also, dress codes were made by men, but mostly enforced by other women. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to read to you the Kansas City Public Schools dress code. Hold on. let me go back. Here we go. Can you start the PowerPoint? Sorry. I did start the PowerPoint and now I took it off. I apologize. We only see the title slide. Okay, let me go. I'll go back and share that image real quick. Let's see. I hope that you can see that image. Okay. And we're going to read to you. This is the new and revised Kansas City Public Schools dress code. And I have seen the one before, and I think it's Stacy. It did involve, it had, spaghetti straps and shoulders and cleavage and all the things that the old dress codes have. And so in Kansas City Public Schools, path and effort to become anti-sexist and anti-racist, it was updated. And so I'm going to read the first part and then Sophia will read the second part. Dress code. No learner shall be discriminated against by dress code policies based on gender, gender identity, gender expression, race, religion, body size, body maturity, or socioeconomic status. And a really important word there is body maturity. I'll quickly share with you a dress-coded story that I got from a girlfriend of mine. She was in her mid-30s. She was wearing boots, a long skirt over the boots, a turtleneck, long sleeves, form-fitting. The only skin you could see was, see what you can see here on Sophia, because Sophia's wearing a turtleneck. She was thin and her breasts were very big. So for her size, she has very large breasts. And her boss came over to her and said, you're going to have to go home and change that. And she was like, why? And she was like, it's very distracting. Now she worked for an interior design company. So it wasn't, and I know I guess there's spectrums of conservative workplaces. And so she went home and she was like, well, yeah. Okay. So you got dress coded, not because you were showing skin and not because you were showing spaghetti straps, and certainly not because your skirt was too long, because you could not see any legs because it was over, but you could see like the silhouette of her body. And that is what we call body maturity. And I have had conversations with high school girls who get dress coded because they do have big breasts. And if another girl was wearing the same shirt, they would not get dress coded. So continuing, elementary and middle school learners are expected to wear their assigned school uniform. Private parts and undergarments must be covered by clothing. Clothing and accessories that display, now these are the images that you cannot have on your clothing. Alcohol, tobacco, drugs, weapons, sexual innuendos, inappropriate language or inappropriate slogans, right? So that's very subjective. Shoes must be worn at all times. No learner shall be given an out-of-school suspension for dress code noncompliance. And then there's another one that we added, and this is also being anti-racist in the anti-sexist category.
Transgender and gender nonconforming learners shall be permitted to dress in a manner consistent with the learner's gender identity or gender expression. Where dress codes and uniform requirements apply to all learners, transgender and gender nonconforming learners should comply with the uniform requirements consistent with the learner's gender identity. Okay.
Now, again, and I don't know because I can't see. I'm going to share my screen, and can you please tell me if you can see? If you can see this image. Okay. So I have an image from a high school in Bartram Trail, district in Florida. It says, I am sharing my window, and it says that I am sharing an image. In order for me to know if it's actually sharing, I have to stop sharing it because I cannot see the chat when I am sharing. So I'm just leaving it. If you could put in the chat, yes, you can see it, or no, you can't see it. Now I'm going to stop sharing and see. Yes. Okay. So we're going to go back. Thank you. No, let's go back here just so I know where I'm going. Okay. So this happened this at the end of last year's school year, so 2020, 2021. A high school in Florida has been accused of sexism after it altered the yearbook picture of dozens of female students, covering their chest and their shoulders. The school district claimed it edited the pictures to ensure that they met the dress code, which says girls' shirts must be modest. The yearbook's coordinator, a female teacher, made the decision to edit the photos after deciding they had violated the dress code. So I just want you to look at these two images. I mean, there was a lot. There were, I'd say, a dozen, a lot of images that were edited. And so we're going to look at the image on, let's look at the original image. So the original image, she has the sweat, she has the shirt over, and it is showing some cleavage. And it's showing that cleavage because my assumption is that she has large breasts. Now, look at the one on the left. The one on the left is to make her more modest, but also recognize that the one on the left is made her to look as most non-sexual as possible, okay? To make her look almost pre-pubescent, pre-puberty. Has not grown breasts yet, is young. Maybe it could be, you know, elementary school or middle school student. Without students' permission. I would be interested, because I would be interested to know how that affects the female psyche, how that affects a young woman, because I would think instinctively is the shaming of breasts, right? Or the shaming of becoming a woman. And so, there were several, I tried following up. I couldn't find any kind of follow-up to this. But being anti-sexist would be creating a dress code for schools that addresses body maturity, right? So if I was wearing that shirt, those images would not have been edited for me because I would not look like that. And so what does that say about, encouraging young girls, oh, you're going to become a woman, and encouraging young girls, oh, you're going to be a leader. But wait, when you get breasts, we're going to filter them out and make you look like not a woman and pubescent. So I'm going to stop sharing. And then if you want to add anything, and if you want to start some more conversation in the chat, we can discuss a little further, or we can go on to the next one. I just have to, in order. Yes. So sorry about that. It's hard I can't see the chat when I'm doing the sharing. Yes, you remember that it was about objectification. It was about body shaming. And you know, as adult women, that was, you know, a staff member, right? Things are done and decisions are made, not even knowing how long that decision or that image will have an impact on that young woman, and how that decision will make that young woman view her body. Is she now viewing her body as shameful, or is she confused, right? So because you're bombarded by all these different images. So were you able to see that image? Can you put that in the chat? Were you able to see the image of the side by side? Yeah. Okay. And so, we wanted to go beyond, we want to go beyond the discussions of, the typical, the dress coding. And, they say the dress code sometimes say, you couldn't see the images side by side. I'm so sorry. Let's see. Let's try it again. Yeah, let's go. Window. Let's see. Can you see it now? Okay, I'm going to share it and then wait a couple of seconds. And then I got to get out to see if you can see it. And then I'm going to get out of it and then show it again. Yes. Okay. Let's do that again. Okay, here we go. We'll do that again. So a high school in Florida has been accused of sexism after it altered the yearbook picture of dozens of female students covering their chest and shoulders. The high school district claimed it edited the pictures to ensure they met the dress code because they wanted her to be more modest. I also feel, I don't know, I mean, I feel like I'm looking at it again and I feel like there's more of a filter there. I guess in order to have photoshopped, not a shirt, right? It's just like a black, they just covered up curves, they covered up cleavage, they just put like a black color fill in. I don't know, I feel like, but I think her face, maybe it's the filter, but I also feel like her face is a little bit different, a little bit more, I don't know.
Defined.
A little less defined?
No, like more defined.
More defined.
Yeah.
I also feel like maybe she might look a little thinner. I don't know if that, well, yeah, maybe because there's more filtering. I don't know. But again, some things are traumatic. So this is all trauma-informed programming. What is traumatic for me may not be traumatic for someone else, right? Something that could define traumatic for Sophia may not something that is traumatic for me. But we don't know if how deep or how impactful this image was. Because let's not forget that this went viral and you may have seen it. So imagine being of a young age and your picture plastered millions of times, right? For something to go viral, it has to be viewed like usually millions of times. So now your face is out there, and that can go differently. Like, there could be a teenager be like, wow, I'm famous. Or she could be like, I cannot believe I've been so exposed. I can't believe that people are now viewing me as that and just staring at my breast, or feeling so vulnerable, or being recognized in a grocery store, or and so being anti-sexist is thinking about that, thinking about the decisions that adults make. And maybe that woman thought she was doing, I mean, I can't see her thinking she was doing something wrong. So good. I'm glad that you were able to see that. And so let's see, and then the discussion on that, like Stacy said, if a male peer is so distracted by a female's peer clothing that he cannot focus in class, right? Then maybe he should be taught how to control himself instead of blaming the female or the female the person who identifies as female, right? And how they are dressed. Because as far as I know, there are no, and I work in schools and I work with youth. I don't know. And Sophia can tell me, are there any conversations, is there any programming going on in schools right now where the conversation is being had about teaching or discussing how it is not, the girl should not be the victim, right? The girl should not be the temptress. Instead, how about we focus on how boys and males are reacting to the way women and young girls are dressing? Do you know any programming like that?
Personally, I've never gone through any program. At least at my school or my school district, I have not.
And this is new, right? This is all new programming. So there's another way that Kansas City Public Schools is being anti-racist and anti-sexist by supporting my program. So I have a program called Holding Your Space, Staying Safe in Relationships. And Sophia has participated in that. And it was first hour, hands-on self-defense programming, second hour, staying safe in relationships, conversations about staying safe. And the third hour, continuing conversations about staying safe in relationships. And I have given about 5 of these, and I usually get, hey, Miss Ava, how come you're teaching us how to fight back and how to defend ourselves and how to stay safe in relationships, but nobody is teaching the boys how not to assault us? And how come nobody is teaching the boys on how not to sexualize our bodies? And so because I know I haven't heard of this. Have you ever heard of a program, Self-Defense for Men?
Yes, most of the time. I mean, like self-defense, but most of the time they're pointed towards men.
Yeah, so it's also, so it's fighting, boxing, right? Jiu-jitsu or MMA. So Kansas City Public Schools, in collaboration with Mexican Consulate, and I will be honest, I don't even know where to start. So I have to engage and reach out to collaboration of different men of color in my community, because I do not know how to put on a Holding Your Space, Staying Safe in Relationships for young men, because they're probably not going to listen to me, right? They want to, the way that when I have programming for young women, it's adult women and young women working together, would have to be men. So, and as far as I know, there is no programming like that. And if you are from the Kansas City area, I'll have my information, our contact info, if you wanted to be a part of that, because it is so disproportionately affecting women. We're told how to dress. We're told how to act. We have to go to classes to fight, because most likely the statistics are, so I don't know how many people are in this, right? But most likely someone in this room is going to be assaulted. Someone in this space has already been assaulted, right? And we have all kinds of programming on how to prevent and how to react. And again, I'm not in every space, but very relatively little programming on addressing it with men, because men and boys, not always, but men are usually the aggressors, and men are usually the ones with the power. And so these are having these conversations, you're on the conveyor belt, right? And when you're having these conversations and pushing back, and asking you to keep an open mind. And I will tell you, having these conversations, there will be conflict, because there are still women who like the adults who dress coded Sophia and the other high school students who will place these sexist policies, right, and sexist practices of hiding and over-sexualizing or desexualizing women's bodies, and at the same time will say, but I am for women's rights. I am a feminist. I am, what was else? I am for gender equality. Yes, you can be that, but you're not walking. You're just standing. Maybe you're taking little paces, but that conveyor belt right here, this is sexism and racism. If you are not walking strong enough, you're going to end up there, right? There's not going to be any sustainable change. And so we're going to go over to our last image, and it's going to take me a minute, right? So in the last image we have is, hold on. Let's go to, I'm going to share this and then I'm going to go back and forth because I think I have to go to the actual, oh, Norway's beach volleyball team. Okay. Okay. So this is the second to last image. This also went viral this summer. Can you see where it says Norway's beach volleyball team? I'm going, sorry. On there, it says, it's got 2 pictures of a volleyball team, of a beach volleyball team. So if you can see it, can you put that in the chat? Sorry. It's not Zoom. I know Zoom. Yes. Okay, good. Yes. Norway's beach volleyball team. I'm going to show you again. I put from tab or window. Okay. Okay, so Norway's beach volleyball team. The image on the left is their beach volleyball uniform. And it was this summer, and they clapped back. This is a very anti-sexist movement. They clapped back because they said, hey, we're not going to wear panties and bikini bottoms to play volleyball. We're going to wear shorts. And I can't, I don't remember the exact number, but it was like 12,000 euros, right? They were fined 12,000 euros because they chose to not wear the required uniform. And so you played volleyball, right? Yes. And so what did your volleyball uniform look like? Did it look like the one on the left or the one on the right?
It was more similar to the one on the left, because even though we wore spandex, they were shorter than those bike shorts on the right. So
the high school volleyball team required uniform is the equivalent of, like, it just barely, it covers, it's shorter than those shorts, but not like the cut of a bikini bottom. And so the question to ask yourself, and these reflective questions to ask yourself, by wearing bikini bottoms or by not wearing bikini bottoms, is the Norway beach volleyball team any better or any worse of a team? Are they going to score more points by wearing bikini bottoms? And when they chose not to, did they play any less better? Did they score any less points? Were they more, I would say that I'm pretty sure that they definitely felt more empowered by taking the stance of wearing, in their opinion, it didn't have to be less or it didn't have to be more. It just had to be their decision, their bodies, less sexist. And I believe there was a lot of other teams that wanted to, and they didn't. So Norway's beach volleyball team is on that conveyor belt, and they are walking fast towards gender equity, right? Towards female equality. But that's just one, right? It's one. Because I remember the Olympics were this year. And I do like watching beach volleyball. It never occurred to me until this year, why do women have to play in panties? Why do women have to play in bikini bottoms? Why can't men play in bikini bottoms, right? So the conversations to have. And then we're almost out of time. And we're going to go into this very last strong image. And Sophia will present. And again, I'm going to have to ask you if you can see my screen, because I do want you to see this very last image. And I would like to end on that note. So I'm going to share the entire into that window. Let's share the entire screen for now. Nope. Sorry. I won't. Now it's just not letting me share. Okay, right? We got that. Share. Anyway, I'm sorry. I was doing the same thing I was doing before to share, but it's not allowing me to share. So this is a picture. It's just an image. What's your name? Simone. Hold on. Sorry. Yeah. Give me 1 minute. I want to end it on this note. We're almost done. Okay. Yeah. It's not letting me share. What is her name? Okay. Oh, we'll just read it. Yeah, I mean, we just have one more image. All right, hold on 1 second. We're just going to get a little bit of help just so we can see this last image. I can't share my screen. So I'm trying to share.
Go to window. That one. Click it. Mm-hmm.
But this is not what I want to show.
Oh, what do you want to show?
I want to show here.
So what happens when you do that? Yeah, so now you're sharing, like they're seeing this. So go to whatever you want to show them.
Okay, that's what I do. I want to show them a slide.
Mm-hmm. If you did that, they will see that slide. So they're seeing that now. Is that what you wanted them to see?
I wanted them. No, not. Okay.
Is it in your slideshow? What you want? No?
Okay, this is what I want you to see. And I don't know if you can see it or not. And I'm not going to, if I feel like if I get out of this, I won't be able to go back to it. But we're going to end on this note. And if you can see it, great. And if not, it is a picture of Simone Sanders. And go ahead. Who she is.
So she is currently the Deputy Assistant to President Biden and the Senior Advisor and Chief Spokesperson for Vice President Kamala Harris.
Simone Sanders is a Black woman. And this is an image of her and a quote, and one of her quotes. And I think it's very powerful. And I share this a lot with young women so that they can show up as they are. They show up as they are, and they express themselves as who they are and empower themselves to not be apologetic on how you look or how your body shape is, and knowing that they shouldn't and won't really stand for being measured at their surface value, measured by the way that they look, and measured by being less than or more than based on your sexuality and based on your body. And so this is Simone Sanders' quote.
So she says, I'm fully aware that when I show up, curvy with a low cut, a bold lip, and a chilling analysis, people don't know how to take it, because I'm not supposed to be able to give you solid political commentary with a bedazzled nail.
And so, thank you. Back here. Thank you so much for joining us. This was, and me and Sophia have talked about this before, right? So this was like our pilot, and this was our trial, our draft kind of workshop. And we wanted it to be more discussion-based, which this platform does not allow. But we hope to get some feedback from you, because I know that that the Latinx Education Collaborative is going to give you a survey. And so please, please, please be very candid with your feedback, because what I'm not just going to come in here and be like, hey, let's give this workshop. We want to go back into the community, and we want to educate not only young women, but we also want to educate adult women on how to be anti-sexist and to collaborate and how to be anti-racist. And so we were talking about that we are going to go into schools and do a better version, a more complete, comprehensive version of this programming. So thank you for coming, and thank you for having an open mind and listening to us. And I'm going to share one last thing, is my contact info. Let's see if I can get that. And there will be my email address. And if you don't see the email address, please go. Okay. You can always get it from the Latinx Education Collaborative. So that's Sophia's email address, and that is my email address. Please reach out. I have a lot of exciting programming, and I will say that I don't come up with this stuff myself. I come up with it by addressing the needs of the students. So thanks again for coming, and hopefully we'll see you in the other room.
Oh,